Welcome to the Decision Lab podcast, the sanctuary for wellness professionals like therapists, coaches, creators, and more who are looking to over-deliver to their clients.
We uncover the truth behind cutting-edge wellness products by going straight to the founder.
We use our backgrounds in neuroscience, chemical engineering, and marketing to ask the hard questions in order to eliminate bias, misinformation, and fancy marketing language.
Allowing you to make better wellness decisions and recommendations for yourself and your clients.
So if you're a leader in the health and wellness space, welcome. This podcast was designed for you.
Join us every week for interviews that will change how you think about wellness. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Decision Lab podcast. And today we're talking to Filippo Nigro. Filippo is the CEO and founder of Youth Health Tech, a groundbreaking startup based in the US and Germany. Their app provides preventative health screenings all around the world, and all just with a smartphone, no additional hardware required. So Youth's innovative approach analyzes a video of your face, voice recording, and an image of your eye to monitor over 30 biomarkers across several major organ systems. We're going to dive all into this today. Before founding Youth, Filippo held a leadership role at an IPO'd startup, earned a machine learning engineering nano degree, and contributed to nonprofits in longevity biotech. Filippo brings a unique blend of tech expertise, business acumen, and a passion for longevity to the table for our conversation today. Welcome to the Decision Lab podcast, Filippo.
Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for inviting me, Chloe and Cody.
Anytime. Glad you can make it, my friend. So the first thing that we do, we don't necessarily always tell people about, because we like to surprise our guest with our first segment. So let me just share my screen real quick, play something for you.
Okay, that's fun.
Hi, Filippo. I hope you will have a good podcast. 3 words which I associate with you are dedication of how we work together, fun in solving problems together, and motivation in delivering hard work every day. The impact you had on my life is obviously the company we are building, but also the reminder every day to eat healthy longevity food. Have fun.
Okay, that's super sweet, super nice.
So
Thanks
tell
a lot.
us a little about who that was and what they mean to you.
So he is Johannes Kraus, who is my co-founder. So basically, before starting Youth, I was already exploring the project when I was working in my previous startup, and then I decided to start founding Youth, and then I was of course looking for a co-founder. I joined an accelerator program called Antler, which is a global VC investing from day zero until Series C. And then actually Johannes was my first co-founder. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears together. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. He had some nice words to say about you. We always love to surprise our guests if we can find somebody. You never know who's going to pop up at the beginning of the Decision Lab podcast.
That was a nice surprise, yeah. I like what he mentioned about the fact that I help him eat healthier. So sometimes we have no bread challenges during our...
Wow, no bread challenges. I like that. Why no bread? I don't eat a ton of bread either, but I would love to hear your perspective from a longevity standpoint.
Yeah, no, I think it depends how hardcore you want to go, right, with your longevity diet. In general, if you avoid some kind of processed carbohydrates, right, for example, typical pasta, bread, and so on, that's helpful for your longevity. So let's say that Johannes tends to eat a lot of carbs, right? So which might compromises his longevity in the long term. So we sometimes do these funny challenges as well.
I love it. That's awesome. Speaking of the long term, if I had known you when you were a kid, would I have known that you'd be here doing what you're doing?
Good question. I would say yes. So let's say I've been always kind of interested in entrepreneurship and health and medicine and longevity. maybe I have some kind of biases in my family because my father is an entrepreneur and my mother is a doctor. So I might be influenced somehow in some way. But my starting goal was always to start my own company. So I try to develop my education, my career to reach this specific goal. And ideally in a topic that I love, which is health and longevity, right? And I was always, let's say, reading and I was always interested about it. Yeah.
Damn.
What initially sparked your interest in health and longevity? Was it your mom because she was a doctor, or was it something that happened in your life that got you into it?
Yeah, so this is another good question when I reflect about it. And I think I've never had, a haha moment or a spark. Okay, now I'm interested into longevity. I was always genuinely interested in longevity, I think for 3 reasons. First one, like brutally honest, I just don't want to die. I really,
Nice.
I think this is something people never dare to say, but it can be very true for many people who are interested in longevity. And I really love just experiencing life, learn things, and see new things, right? So I'm naturally driven in reading about health and optimization. Second and third point are the impact you can have working on longevity. Third point is that it's such a fun, interesting, and complex topic. So if I want to work on something or read about something, I want to work on something which has, of course, a big impact. It is a natural driver for all the people. And if you solve a big problem in health and longevity, you can have a big impact in the of course, wellness of the world population. And it's a topic which is so complex because it is related to biology that I feel I never learn enough, right? And I can naturally stay there just reading paper. Okay, I need to always catch up, but I'm never there. So for me, it's kind of like playing PlayStation, right? Some people can stay playing video games 24/7. I can read about health and wellness 24/7. So if I need to pick a problem where to put blood, sweat, and tears, that will be longevity because it's fully aligned with my personal mission and I can have a huge impact and I'm doing something that I just enjoy doing or reading about, right? And then once I solve, let's say, the longevity problem, I can even move into other spaces and learn about physics and, I don't know, try to address space tech problem. So personally, I'm more on the hardcore sci-fi side, let's say. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I love sci-fi.
Yeah.
So solving the longevity problem allows you to then go solve other problems because now you can live forever. Something I'm curious about, have you contemplated? If you live forever, would you not get bored? Would you not, do you think you should live forever? Like, how do you think about that?
So I don't think I will get bored because I feel that within the average lifespan that I will probably have, I will never learn as much and do as many things that I would like to do, right?
Right.
And I think you should make that at least a variable, right? In a decision. You should not be forced to that, right? Ideally, you can decide when to die. If after 300 years, 1,000 years, you as a person, you are bored, okay, you can die, right? But at least the decision-making power is in your hand, right?
I love that. Do you prescribe to any, I'm more on your side on this debate in general, and I'm always telling people, it's like, have you ever woken up any day where you're not excited to go do stuff? Like, why would that change? Especially if you can keep your health span. But do you have any religious perspective or spiritual perspective around this stuff?
So I want to touch upon a point, right? Because exactly. So there are many, in my opinion, biases when people think about longevity, aging, and living forever, right? People say, no, I will get bored at a certain point. I'm gonna die, right? But then when they get to the end of their life, what they do is try to invest as much money as possible or try to stay healthy as much as possible or reverse a disease just to earn 1 year, 2 years of life in very bad condition, right? And if you ask all the people, right, hey, do you want to die? Then when you get to the point which is close to the death, everyone changes their mind because the urgency is higher at that point. Yeah.
So true.
Urgency, the pain is higher at the point. Yeah. You asked me another question, by the way, Cody. You were asking me another question, something about if I have any.
Oh yeah, I just am curious. Like, do you prescribe to any like religious perspective or spiritual perspective, or how do you think about like that? Because that's the other thing I hear a lot is like, you're not supposed to do that. Like God is supposed to determine that, or different things. Religious and spiritual aspects kind of come into this conversation as well.
So I'm maybe personally biased because I'm more, let's say I don't believe in any specific religion. Let's say I cannot deny that any specific, let's say, superior entity exists, but I cannot even confirm it. I just try to base myself on scientific truths, right? And that's it. Yeah. So I don't think there is a religious obligation to die. I don't even think that there is a natural obligation to die. And okay, if you think about evolution, right? So if you see some animals who live in a specific environment where they are not, let's say, attacked by any specific predators, right? Evolution leads them to age slower and live longer. Now, if you think about the evolutionary timeline, the current human is still pretty young, and it was very easy for people just to die for infectious diseases, right? Or attacked by predators or in wars, whatever, right? So I think that in the long term, if you're able to create a safe environment for ourselves, evolution will lead humans to live longer. Maybe we will evolve even in another species. So what you do with potentially with biotechnology and so on is just speeding up the evolutionary process. So for me, there is nothing against nature in living longer or indefinitely, right? And also, if we are also, I believe we are also a product of nature, right? So if nature and evolution brought us here with this current consciousness and technological capabilities that we can apply to speed up our evolutionary process, why is this against nature? So in my opinion, there are a lot of mantras, concepts which are inside the human mind because they have always been like this, and people are reluctant to change, right? And they don't, they always think on some assumption, but they fail to think from zero principle. This is something that also, probably you know Brian Johnson, some people like him, some people like him less, but
I like him.
I think he is correct when he says that people should think more from zero principle, right? And just forget about the typical societal assumption, right, that they have, and think more from scratch. Right. Yeah.
Dude, I 100% agree. The rules are made to be broken. Rules are made for someone else to win. Like, what the heck? Like, why is this rule a thing? Like, you know, I think about that all the time. I'm just like, I'm naturally disagreeable. So, yeah, it's interesting. Is there, speaking of long life, what's the most painful or most challenging thing that you've had to deal with in your life so far?
So the most painful, let's say, moment for me in my life. So I don't want to complain because so far I feel I've been overall lucky enough. In Italy we say touching wood, right? But I think so. Probably the hardest moment. So I had a thrombosis on the vein here in my neck while I was exercising. So in the past, during my university, I used to train a lot, and I had a genetic issue for which my veins, let's say, and blood vessels are pretty close to muscles. and so yeah, basically the muscle kind of closed the vein while I was doing an exercise. So I got a thrombosis, and need to basically just miss a lot of university lecture. Need to stay at the hospital. I lost 15 kilos because I need to stop training, and of course psychologically that was a bit tough initially, but then easy. I think I just recovered the exams that I lost in a shorter period of time, and then get back to training after 2 years. So overall, I will say I will not complain. I will not even define it as a super difficult moment.
What did you learn from it, though? Or what did you learn from experiencing that?
Good question. So maybe just a key learning that, I mean, just life happens, but it doesn't mean that you need to cry on yourself. You just need to be patient, and with time you will go back to the previous situation, or even better, to be honest. I actually had a doctor tell me you can never do the gym again. Yeah. That was false, of course, because later I came back training.
Keep you down.
Yeah, but it was not, an experience, close to that gave me such a big learning.
Yeah, I feel you. So we're here to talk about your tech company today, Youth Health
Yeah.
Tech. I'm really excited. Could you tell us what it is, how it works? Just tell us a little bit of the background of it, maybe even how you started it or the founding of it.
Yeah, I can tell you about how I started, and then I will give you an level overview of what we do. So, as you know, I'm a bit obsessed with longevity, let's say, health tracking, And for me, let's say, taking a visit at the doctor, even a preventative visit, is impossible, right? So on average, it takes 3+ weeks, and then the doctor, they never want to see you, right? Because above all, you're healthy, and they need to prioritize, let's say, a sicker patient. And you need 5 or more visits to get a really holistic overview of your health. And this is only for one snapshot in time, right? So 3+ weeks to get a preventive visit with a specialist, 5+ visits to get a proper overview of your health. That's a nightmare. I think I was spending between 300, 500 bucks per month to try to track my health, and still it was pretty time consuming and painful, right? And then I was doing a machine learning nano degree, and I was reading paper at the intersection between AI and healthcare, and they found, okay, it's actually possible to detect biomarkers just from data that you collect from smartphone sensor and applying AI on top. So I said, okay, if I can do this quick preventative health screening like this from a smartphone, that's super powerful value proposition. And my assumption was that there are people who are still less obsessed than me, but they want to do preventative screening, but they don't do this because or it's too costly or it's too time consuming. Do you know the formula behavior is equal motivation, ability, and trigger? So the ability of people to do preventative screening is super low, right? Because time consuming and costly. Perfect. So also for people with high motivation variable, it's difficult to execute this behavior, right? But if you increase the ability of people to do preventative screening just from their smartphone, for example, you can trigger behavior even for lower level of motivation. And this was my assumption, no? And then I started working on youth. I also did another assumption that there is a value proposition also on the payer side, because they face a lot of cost due to the lack of preventative screening, which creates late diagnosis. Of course, catching a disease at a later stage costs much more, for example, for an health insurance, rather than if you catch the disease at an earlier stage, right? And then I decided to build youth, right? Basically, smartphone-based health screening. I think Chloe gave a nice summary before. Basically, the idea is that just from your smartphone, you can do a full digital preventative screening in less than 2 minutes. So you just need to take a face video, voice recording, a selfie, and an eye picture, and that's it. And we generate health insights across 7+ organ system, and you get 30+ digital biomarkers. I'm happy to address any other question. I assume you might want to dig deeper into that.
Absolutely.
How is it possible, dude? Like how is that possible? Like our job here is to not play scientist. It's more to play skeptical consumer. And so if you're talking to somebody on the street and you say you can take a video of your face and all of a sudden I know all the stuff about you, that seems unrealistic. It doesn't seem real. I'll break some of it down, maybe even give some of the biggest, highest level biomarkers and break down how specifically that kind of works.
Yes. Happy to do it. And I think you touched a very good point about the sci-fi aspect and the trust. So I will make a point on that. I don't know if you know the product market fit framework from Sequoia. So there are different kind of company, and based on your type of company, you need to do different things to achieve product market fit. For sci-fi company, trust can be the biggest barrier to product market fit. So I feel we are a bit in this bucket, right? Because you do this face scan and then you say, whoa, all this biomarker, and then the first thing you think is, okay, how did they do it? So we have a lot of, let's say, work that we do on the trust aspect as well. So happy to address this point. So you asked me to explain it high level, how does it work, and I can tell you. So I will start mentioning our key data input, right? The face video, the voice recording, and the eye picture. So out of this data input, we have machine learning technology that extrapolate different pattern, right? For example, from the face video, you analyze RGB light reflection pattern from your face skin. Is a technology which is called photoplethysmography. Based on how your blood vessel, let's say, pump, they absorb and reflect light at different absorption rates, so you can understand the blood flow and infer blood pressure, heart rate variability, for example. This is a very similar technology which is used in the pulse oximeter, even in the hospital or in the wearables, right? Exactly. Yes. From the external eye picture instead, this is a bit of a novel technology, so it requires a bit more validation, but basically we analyze external eye feature like blood vessel concentration in the sclera, the white part of the eye, the color of the sclera, pupil size, some feature of the eyelid, to infer the level of some systemic biomarker. For example, HbA1c, so average glucose level in the last 3 months, cholesterol, triglyceride. From voice, we use a technology which analyzes the so-called voice biomarker. So there are some hidden voice patterns which are then correlated with your mental health, respiratory health, and potentially cognitive health. We try to leverage all smartphone data, so we have more than that. We also collect passive data points. For example, typing patterns, depending on your reaction time, typing speed, and typing pattern, we can infer, for example, cognitive and mental well-being, same just from your phone usage as well. Yeah.
So cool.
Damn. That's some intense permissions that you've probably got to get on the app from the App Store for people to like opt into all this stuff. Is that true?
Correct. I mean, we have the traditional privacy policy, so of course people consent to the privacy policy, and as you mentioned, people need to opt in, right? So they need to allow permission for us to track this information passively in the case of typing pattern or even step patterns. We also use accelerometer data, for example. So that's correct. But we don't store, for example, the face video, the voice recording, we don't store them. And the face video analysis runs on device, so we don't store this sensitive personal information. We just process them to make the prediction. And then we display the biomarker predicted into the UI of the app.
Wow.
So once you've taken all this data, then what happens? So if I'm a user, I've scanned my face, taken the picture, talked into the phone, then what does the app show me? It shows like the biomarkers. Does it tell me how to improve my health? What's the outcome of that?
So you take the face video, voice recording, eye picture, and then you get a overall health score, a wellness score, right? Together with a wellness score across multiple organs. So you get your cardiovascular wellness score, respiratory wellness score, body skin score, face skin score, and so on. You also have the opportunity to dig deeper and see each predicted biomarker. So if you want to know your heart rate specifically, you can click on the cardiovascular score and see your heart rate variability, blood pressure, heart stress index, and their specific value predicted from your face scan. And all these biomarkers basically are the base to compute the wellness score at the organ level. Based on these results, we do two things. So first, we create a regular checkup plan. You have these results. You are between this age group. This is your sex. Perfect. This is your optimal regular preventative checkup routine. And if you're within this age range and these results, you should do one cardiovascular checkup per month, for example. One body skin checkup every 3 months, and so on. If we see any biomarkers a bit out of range, then we also recommend, for example, to speak with a doctor, and we allow the user to book potentially a doctor visit, or we recommend some additional services, health and wellness services that they can take to improve their biomarker. So important disclaimer, we don't claim diagnostic power, right? So we are not a diagnostic tool. We want to be a super quick and accessible pre-screening to then redirect you to the right place in the health and wellness journey. I always make this example to make it tangible and simple. During the pandemic, there was the quick COVID test and the COVID test that you do in the lab. One, it was much quicker. You do it in the nose, and then if it's positive, you do the final diagnostic test in the lab. And the first test is accessible. Everyone can do it at home, and it serves as a first prioritization, right? Imagine the same concept from your smartphone, but for your overall health. And if you actually check the AUC sensitivity and specificity metrics of the quick COVID test, depending on the manufacturer, you will see a big gap compared to the quick COVID test you do in the nose and the diagnostic test in the lab. AUC was around 0.7, 0.8, depending on the manufacturer there.
Got it.
So how accurate are the results that you're getting from your phone compared to if you were doing some of these scans in clinic?
Yeah, it depends a lot biomarker by biomarker and technology by technology. So we can stay here 3 hours. I will split the technology into two. So first one is, let's call it commoditized validated technology, and another one which is the most novel technologies under research, right? So if you take the photoplethysmography technology, so the face video analysis to predict heart rate variability, blood pressure. So for a 60-second face video, the standard deviation of the heart rate predictor is plus minus 0.5 BPM, so beats per minute. So it's pretty accurate and comparable with an ECG one lead. But that's not, let's say heart rate is a very basic biomarker, right? So, what we want to do is try to also bring more novel biomarker at this level of accuracy or close, a good enough accuracy. For blood pressure instead, depending on the device, Android and iOS, but the majority of the measurement, more than 80% of the measurement, have a standard deviation for a systolic blood pressure of plus minus 10. So the value that you get from the phase video is plus minus 10, the real value, of course affected a bit by lighting condition. So the worse lighting condition, the higher a bit the standard deviation. And let's say that this level of standard deviation is good enough to make a first prioritization, right? And if you spot very high level of blood pressure, for example, under 50 systolic, under 60, okay, even with the standard deviation, maybe there is a flag, you know, speak with a doctor or use a gold standard tool to verify this. It's also useful to monitor the trend over time in a very accessible way, right? Given the standard deviation, if you do repeated measurement, you can kind of understand where your blood pressure overall is going. I will stop here if you have any question, otherwise I move also into the accuracy of the other technology.
Yeah, keep going. So far it makes sense. I guess the one thing I'll clarify for people, standard deviation just means like if a diagnostic test would say that I had 60 beats per minute and the standard deviation is 0.5 different, this device might say that I have 60.5 beats per minute. So it's for heart rate, it's that close. For blood pressure, it's 10. So standard deviation is just from the actual number, how off is it in either direction? Just to define a term. Some people don't know what standard deviations are. So, but other than that, it makes complete sense. I'd love to hear about the more like experimental technologies and the mental health stuff too.
Yes. So we also have another commoditized technology is body skin disease detection, right? So a picture of your moles and identifying different diseases. Their sensitivity and specificity is over 93% combined. So we call them pretty commoditized and standardized technology, right? Some of them also have regulatory approval. So what we do in our app, we select all the research company. We speak with 10 of them. We do the medical due diligence. We purchase the algorithm and we integrate this algorithm, which has been already validated, into our app. So we have this. This is the part of the commoditized technology. So we have this one source of truth for all the validated smartphone basal screening. And you can find the validated voice scan for mental health, for respiratory health, the body skin scan for body skin diseases, and the face video for heart rate. And we try to integrate ideally the top 3 per each category, because we know that, for example, one research company has higher accuracy for dark skin tones. Another company has higher accuracy for whiter skin tones. So depending on your onboarding survey and your ethnicity, we can even select the best algorithm specifically for yourself.
Damn. So you're going out and finding the best stuff and then integrating that into what you're doing and putting all in one place. It's kind of like the iPhone concept. Like Steve Jobs took all these different cool technologies and shoved them into one iPhone. You're kind of taking all these crazy algorithms and shoving them into one simplified UI.
Correct. You can correct. You can call it a smartphone-based health screening aggregator, let's say. And then there is the part of the novel technologies, which is the most tricky. And this we do it in-house. So for us, it makes no sense to reinvent the wheel and do all the data collection and medical validation for yet another heart rate monitor, where there are 50, 60 companies who did this job very well by themselves, right? So we focus on building in-house the most novel and exotic technologies, which are demanded by the market, missing in the market, but there is already some scientific research proving the feasibility of this technology. And we have some unfair advantage and network to collect the data to train our own algorithm, right? And we focus on building in-house mainly metabolic biomarkers, so cholesterol, triglyceride, HbA1c, and also liver and kidney biomarker, EGFR, albumin, bilirubin. We don't commercialize them fully yet because some of them needs more validation and more studies. But right now we're running research with different academic institutions and to move this forward. We have also sensitivity, specificity, and IUC data for this technology, but they are on a smaller, let's say, training set and validation set, and they need to be validated further into the wild, let's say, right? So there are some additional steps to do.
What is your guys' process for these? You mentioned you're doing some research with institutions and things like that. For these novel ones that aren't like have thousands of research studies on them, what is your guys' process for doing that initial research? And then how do you decide what gets trickled into the live app that people can use and that you're willing to say, this is accurate enough that we're willing to put it in front of you? Or do you leave that up to the user? Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think to address your first question, how do we select the biomarkers we do in-house? I think we have a big matrix with different dimension, which is business demand and market opportunity, medical relevance, technical feasibility, and then we see, okay, is demanded by the market, is medically relevant to get a holistic overview of the user, right? Mm-hmm. And technically, there are several papers proving that it's feasible. And then we see, is it something commoditized in the market? Yes. Screen the market, purchase. Is it something not commoditized in the market yet? Okay, maybe makes sense to build in-house. Do we have some network? Yes, cool, let's do it. So we see that, for example, the HbA1c case is pretty clear because the opportunity to do diabetes prevention is pretty huge. And there are multiple studies doing risk assessment for diabetes from eyes, face video, and voice, right? We just review the literature. There should be good enough amount of literature, and then we start basically the process. We also have a way to collect data via some network. So we collected data via medical institution, different medical institution, and which does a diabetes prevention program. And to decide the level of accuracy which is good enough to go to market, there we simply need to go through the typical validation studies and validation process. And we look at age prevalence and the likelihood ratio. I don't know how much into depth you would like me to go here, but basically you need a certain level of sensitivity and specificity, meaning accuracy, depending on the age prevalence of the population. So we base our accuracy target on this calculation because your algorithm should be good enough to actually increase, to have a significant increase in the probability of the person having the disease after this person does your test. For example, if the age prevalence of a disease is 5%, your algorithm needs to be very, very accurate so that after the patient does the test with your algorithm, it has a good chance actually to potentially have the disease, right? And you need to benchmark your accuracy based on that. I don't know if I was clear enough. It might be a bit of an intricate topic, but let me know if you have any question.
So essentially you measure this against populations of people, groups of people, and measure the accuracy of that. And if it's high enough accuracy, then it's like, okay, this is good to go. And you're looking at different age ranges and different, like, are you comparing like a diagnostic test versus yours? I guess that's the part where I got a little confused. Like,
okay, yeah. So to train the algorithm, this is exactly what we do. So we have the gold standard measurement and the data input, the smartphone-based data input. So let's say that we want to predict HbA1c from external eye images, right? So what we do is we get the patient, we take a picture of the external part of the eye from the smartphone, we take the blood test, right? The blood test gives the level of HbA1c, cholesterol, and triglyceride. Sometimes we also take the fundus image, which is also a gold standard imaging used to predict diabetes, for example. And then we train the model to identify this gold standard value from the external eye image, for example. And usually what we do, we collect more than the external eye image. So we collect the external eye images, the face video, the voice recording, plus demographic information and medical history. So we basically create a more multimodal AI model and extrapolate signal from different data inputs, trying to predict the label, the value, which has been measured with the gold standard tool. And then, of course, you can run studies to validate your accuracy and compare it with a gold standard tool on this validation population, let's call it. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that makes complete sense. That's awesome. Okay, so I want to ask so much about the future right now, but before I do, for who's your ideal client for this? And like who's the ideal client and what is your dream outcome? Like what is the dream outcome you have for them? Like what do you want them to achieve or be able to make possible for that ideal client?
So ideal outcome, we eliminate late diagnosis in all the geographies where we operate. Because that means that you have full control of your key biomarkers and your health. And if something is wrong, we just raise a flag. It can be a super accessible thermometer for your overall health. Hey, something might be off. Do a specific test and speak with a doctor. And we remove completely late diagnosis in all the geographies that we operate. This is our ideal outcome and the vision that we have as a company. So how do we distribute our technology actually? So we mainly scale via B2B2C channel. So we distribute our technology to longevity clinics, also some health insurance company, and some supplement companies. We basically tap into their own user base, and the client, the patient of the longevity clinic, for example, will have the usually co-branded with the longevity clinic logo. Yes, so our, let's say, user and our client are also this business partner as well.
Got it. So you go to businesses and then they have the people that are going to be using the technology for right now. Do you plan to go B2C eventually?
So our vision is, we call it, let's say, unlocking prevention for 8 billion people. So at a certain point, we would like to open the app to the full world, also with a B2C value proposition. Of course, when you disintermediate a bit, you have higher risk because you put the full decision-making power into the hands of the end user without, let's say, for example, a clinic doctor, right? Which might increase a bit the risk, even if you don't make any specific disease risk assessment, right, on just your claim. So we want to get there step by step. We also plan to at a certain point, be even more specific in the risk assessment that we make, but we want to take it step by step, right? We first have more as a wellness positioning, then we go through the class 2A probably regulatory process, and then we increase the complexity of our go-to-market and regulatory strategy as we grow. Yeah.
Wow. So at the current moment, a longevity clinic or a clinic of some kind, you would interact with them, and then their patients who are overseen by physicians and clinicians and things like that have support along the journey of using this app. And this app is just able to grab more like faster data, preventative data, and like objective data than these diagnostic tests.
For example, let's say you have a longevity clinic, right? And there are different use cases and KPIs depending on the different business channel, to be honest. But let's take the example of the longevity clinic. So as a clinic, you have no real way to engage the user outside of the clinic and try to nudge the user to do prevention outside of the clinic. So usually the patient goes 1 time per year, maybe twice per year into this longevity clinic. And then after that, they might even risk to lose the patient because they don't come back. And oftentimes, the majority of them, they don't even have a digital app or digital tool through which they can engage these patients outside of the clinics. So we provide them with a co-label solution out of the box, which is also connected to their doctor dashboard, right? So that they can give this remote patient monitoring tool. They can also nudge the user to this regular preventative screening. And for the user is a no-brainer, just a 30-second video. The results are directly shown in the doctor dashboard, and the doctor can then suggest product, even additional visit, can be also an upselling tool, to be honest, for the doctor.
Nice.
From a business perspective, it can work as an engagement tool, upselling tool for the doctor, and a retention tool. You can even leverage it for marketing purposes. So some clinics use our digital screening to generate more leads. If you have an advertising on Instagram with the digital screening plugged in, it converts 62% more leads than traditional advertising. Basically, people click on the ads that says, hey, discover what's the best, I don't know, drip for you, right? Based on our digital screening. They do the digital screening, the face video, and then, okay, leave your email to see your results. People are curious, leave the email, a lead is generated, then they see the results, and we recommend services of the longevity clinic. And after they go through this process, they even have a higher likelihood to then later on convert as a longevity clinic client, because they feel that the service is more personalized. So we generate more leads, and we also generate, let's say, more quality leads, because they have higher likelihood to convert later on. So this is another business value proposition for the clinic, let's say.
Damn.
The health insurance case is completely different, because with the health insurance, we run a pilot study proving that we are able to make a certain population at risk of diseases more aware of preventative screening, do more preventative screening, and potentially do more regular preventative checkup at the doctor as well. And this overall save cost for the health insurance, plus, of course, increase the health of the patient. So there is more like a cost-saving use case and value proposition for the health insurance. Yeah.
I like it. That's interesting. Trying to keep do you feel like you're on the consumer's team? Like, how do you balance business propositions and selling your service and being able to do that with the end user? Like getting to the 8 billion people, getting prevention to 8 billion people. Like, whose team do you view yourself on, would you say?
I think consumer, definitely. I think if you just have the mantra of doing the things right for the consumer, I mean, you don't do it wrong. And to be honest, it's a win-win. This also benefit the longevity clinic, and I mean, the insurance in the end is a win-win. If you always have the health of the end user in mind, the end user anyway is satisfied, has higher trust in you, right? And is much more likely that this end user come back or to the clinic or even to the health insurance. We don't share the data to the health insurance, by the way. So they cannot use them to play with the risk premium. So these are all confidential, yeah. But definitely the consumer, yeah.
It's interesting. It address a lot of the questions that I had about, like, what if Chloe put a bunch of questions here, like what if false positives or false negatives, but if they're overseen by a clinician, they're still doing the gold standard stuff. And then, or if some of the results are alarming, like if someone has health anxiety or something and it's alarming, at the current moment, there's a clinician that is there to be with them and help them potentially.
There are also additional steps to manage this. So for example, first thing very important is checking the quality of the data input before the data input is sent to the machine learning model for the prediction. So there is a standardized minimum quality of the data input that we need to have an accurate prediction. So if you have a bad lighting condition in the environment while you are taking the face video, we don't allow you to proceed, and we ask you to move in a better, let's say, environment. Same for the voice. If you have background noises, we stop the prediction. We ask you to redo the voice recording. These already ensure that you have higher accuracy and reduce the number of false positive, false negative. If there is a flag, what happens? we see the history and the trend. If it's the first time with high anxiety, fair can happen, right? High anxiety score, fair can happen. If it happens multiple times, okay, fair, raise another flag. We increase the frequency of the checkup, or we ask them to check again to validate the results. Again, another flag, perfect, speak with the doctor. Yeah.
Wow, I love it. That's beautiful, being able to help people with those types of things, even their anxieties and stuff. So what is the next step? Like, I'd love to be able to use this as a consumer because I'd love this data and this information, but I understand that there's all sorts of things that come in, but I could just imagine this being something that gives me all this information, and then there's a personalized AI that I have that helps me understand what's going on and stuff. But that's just my brain. What's in your brain?
I think you touched exactly that point. I will tell you. So I will give a spoiler. So we basically we are gonna launch our B2C version as well, and early next year for an initiative in the municipality of Milan. So they have a vision called Longevity City 2030. And basically, our app will be displayed into the reception of different hotels in the city. Yeah, so that's an interesting experiment that we are gonna. But I think the vision is pretty aligned to what you said. So if I think about our vision, so internally we have a vision called Vision 2030. So by 2030, we need to unlock prevention for 8 billion people. And we have a plan how to get there from a business point of view and a product point of view. From a business point of view, in the short term, we want to get to around 1 million MRR by end of 2025 and get to Centaur state, so 100 million ARR by 2028, 2030, let's say. From a product point of view, we want to provide this universal entry point for all the health and wellness services. So you can control what you can measure. Everything must start with a screening. We want to provide you with the most holistic and accessible way to screen for your health. So the first item in our roadmap will also be making our current screening even passive. Voice recording. Hey, you just enable permission. You just speak on WhatsApp, speak at the phone, we passively screen.
Yeah.
You lock your phone, you take selfie. If you allow the permission, we just screen yourself in the background, right?
Right.
Second step, increase the, let's call it holisticness of our technologies. So cover also vision, hearing, liver, kidney biomarker, and so on. Third step, be really integrated with the health and wellness services, right? And be super strong on this recommendation engine as well, right? So this is a bit the vision of the future. I don't know if you know the quote from an article of A16Z. So as AI improves, everyone will have a AI doctor in their pocket, and diagnosis will come months earlier. This is exactly the direction where we want to go. And we start by making the screening point super mega frictionless, a no-brainer, so that we can collect your digital twin. You have all your data there, powered by AI diagnostic, and then later on you can match it with a strong LLM system to have basically your AI agent and AI doctor. In theory, the LLM knows everything about medicine and longevity. They're going to get better and better and better. And based on all your data, can craft your personalized recommendation. And if you also plug in an AI agent, it can even book visit for you based on this recommendation.
Something, as a fellow entrepreneur, we're used to getting grilled. Okay, so a question that I cannot help but think is, what is stopping Apple from doing all of this themselves, and what makes you competitive with someone who owns the hardware? Like, what is your or are you trying to get bought by an Apple, or like how do you think about that? So
you should read the article from again A16Z called "The Biggest Company in the World," explaining kind of why the next biggest thing will be a consumer healthcare startup and why it will not be, for example, a big tech, right? But I will try to also give you my my point. So I think we have also an angel who is working for an investor who is working for Apple, by the way. So first, potentially it can be an exit strategy. Fair point. My belief is that all these things will be commoditized in the future, right? So all these algorithms on the screening point and on the LLM side, right, will be commoditized. So if you get aggregation and distribution right, in my opinion, this is the way to win. Focusing on the user experience, UI, UX, delivering value for the end user, and finding the right distribution channel is the way to win. And at the moment, Apple is a big corporation, and usually big corporation, of course, they run slow. This is a typical question that in the end is true, right? In the end, it's true. And there is also a report, I think, from McKinsey saying that for Apple or other big tech, it will be much more costly to build high-risk sci-fi novel technology in-house because they have a higher R&D risk and reputational risk than just do M&A of a successful startup who win the war at the innovation layer, right?
Nice.
Yeah. Also, they have they are very actually strict with their research and data processing, let's say, policies, and there are multiple layers in Apple, so they have it's a bit difficult for them to kick off initiative to potentially collect a sizable amount of sensitive data. To be honest, if they have a strong executive decision focusing on that, I assume that they can do this, potentially. They will not probably go via B2B2C channel, right? Usually their value proposition is mainly B2C. If we secure the insurance, if we secure a nice network of clinics, then it becomes a pretty lock-in situation where it might be difficult to access. Plus, if you go earlier to the market, imagine that we managed to successfully scale according to our plan, then many users will have a lot of data into the existing app, right? And then the algorithm will have learned more about themselves, and they will need to switch all their data back to a potentially to a novel application.
Right, and have to relearn all of that unique data. Yeah, interesting. All right,
but you
cool.
can have the same argument from Google. To be honest, this is the typical argument for all the startup, but somehow it never happens. Also, Elon Musk was answering this question and said, "Okay, why I don't know BMW didn't do electric cars? Why they're not winning in electric cars? They have all the resources, even more resources to do it, and the time. Yeah, it's a bit of a different dynamic.
Yeah. Now, I was just curious how you think about it. So you're on the cutting edge of health and wellness technologies. Like, what's outside of your own technology? What are some health and wellness or longevity tech that you're excited for, that you're like, whoa, this is cool?
So I'm pretty hardcore here. I'm pretty interested in replacement technology, and yes, for example, brain replacement technology, and advanced bioengineering, for example, cellular reprogramming. I think these are super cool cutting edge stuff. So I definitely see myself doing something in this field if this startup is successful after having more credibility and more money. But if we really want to achieve longevity escape velocity, I don't know if you know the concept of longevity escape velocity. Yeah.
Peter
exactly. So it's not enough to go with supplement, cold plunges, and so on, even prevention. This will increase your health span, right, up to a certain point. But if you really want to live longer, you need a breakthrough from a biotech point of view. And I'm more on the hardcore sci-fi side, so I'm pretty excited about the development in these two fields, so replacement and cellular reprogramming. Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a techno-humanist?
How would you define a techno-humanist?
Someone that believes we'll merge with technology and become like cyborg type like a next level of evolution?
So it can be, is an option on the plate, but I'm not sold on one defined future, to be honest. So for me, anything that doesn't go against the law of physics is not impossible. It's
Hell
possible,
yeah.
right?
Agreed.
So I don't know which path will it be. So I don't know if this will be one scenario. I think it is a possible scenario. I don't know if this will be the scenario and when it's gonna happen. Right? Same of longevity, escape velocity. I believe there will be a certain point where the level of technology is so advanced that you can potentially set age even as a variable, right? By re-engineering yourself. I don't know when this is gonna happen. If in 10,000 years, or if it's even gonna happen, maybe the human race will be extincted before, right? But I believe it's physically possible. Yeah.
What do you have a number in your head? How old do you want to be? What's your number? How old do you want to live till?
Infinite. And now
Infinity.
I'm really hardcore. Yeah, I'm more on the hardcore side. Yes. Yeah.
What is your answer or perspective on people that are like, okay, well, life is supposed to be for like a lesson you're supposed to learn, and then afterlife is where like everything is even better. Like, what do you believe? Like, if heaven is a real thing, you're extending your mortal life, but
It
you're
depends a lot
missing
on your
out
assumption. It depends a lot on your
I'm
assumption
curious.
set. It depends a lot on your assumption set. And maybe, to be honest, I have no way to validate my assumption as well. So maybe they're right. So
Yeah.
and
What are your assumptions then? What are your core assumptions?
So my assumption is that I don't believe in an afterlife. So since I'm enjoying the current life and I'm striving for learning and seeing many things as possible, I try to extend my current lifespan as much as possible. So I'm totally aware that this is crazy difficult, crazy complex, right? So there are 10,000 challenges from a technology point of view, scientific point of view, even economic point of view, and so on. But I believe it's theoretically possible, and why not trying?
Hey, I'm with you. In my vision statement, every day I literally say that I plan to live well into my thousands, maybe even infinitely. So I'm with you, my friend. So
And-
that's wild.
And I'm always down to challenge my assumption and based on novel learning. It's like a machine learning algorithm, right?
Oh, yeah,
you
for
learn
sure.
new things from the environment, then you might adjust your prediction. So maybe after you live 1,000 years, you might change your mind and you have a different set of experience and assumptions. But for now, my answer is infinite. Yeah.
That's an interesting question. What new information would you have to learn to want to actually die?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Do you, off the top of your head, like what would you have to learn?
Probably, I will need to, personally, I think I will need to learn that there is a better perspective after death. And then I'm down to die.
Nice. So you'd have to like have a guarantee that there is in fact a heaven and it is actually like wildly better than what's going on here.
Yeah, correct. Or a guarantee or a probabilistic chance. Maybe I'm down to even if the nature of what's behind is probabilistic, so I might have even a probabilistic chance to go into a better place. Maybe I would even consider dying after 5,000 years, maybe to go to the next level.
Yeah.
Maybe to go to the next level. Okay, let's roll the dice.
Let's roll the dice, baby. All right, cool. All right, so let's bring this in. So we have some signature questions, the kind of the final 5 that we ask every single founder that we talk to at the end of the podcast. So we'd love to run you through those right now, if you're down. And the first one is, what is a question that you wish more people asked you?
I like this question because they let me think. Good question.
Take your time.
What is a question? Yeah, maybe why you are doing what you're doing. And in the case of some other user, please explain me in details how does your product work. So instead of having assumption that this is let's say sci-fi and impossible, asking me more how does it work instead of assuming that it might be too difficult to too good to be true, let's say. Yeah. No, but I think the first one is more general. Yeah, why am I doing what I'm doing? Yes.
So, Filippo, why are you doing what you're doing, my friend?
Yes. So I think I already answered before. I think I'm trying to achieve my personal mission and have the biggest impact possible in the world as I perceive it while having fun. So again, if I want to put blood, sweat and tears into a problem, it must be the most impactful problem and a problem which is super aligned with my personal vision and mission, which is in the end, in my opinion, longevity.
And why? Well, why? Like, why is that your personal mission? Why do you want to have an impact?
This is a very good question, because I think there is a level of why where I cannot answer anymore. So I think there is a level of why where it's just coming intrinsically, and I cannot explain why. I've done a DNA test where I don't know what's the accuracy there, but in my genes it was written that I have predisposition to new stuff and go for ambitious projects. So maybe it's just written in my biological code, and I'm just kind of acting based on my on the biological programming language without knowing. So
that's interesting. This would take us on a whole rabbit trail about like determinism and free will and stuff, but that's stuff that I love to talk about as a brain scientist. But I digress. Next question, Chloe, before we get into a purple squirrel.
What's an important truth that very few people agree with you on?
That it's possible to live forever.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that. That was an easy one.
It was a slow pitch, that one.
I know. Most people have to think about that question longer, but for you, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. That's a good one. Okay, next one is a little bit more businessy, but what's a connection or a partnership that would really, really help y'all out outside of them giving you money?
Yeah, I think any scientific or academic institution which is interested in working on novel research to democratize access to screening technology, we are super mega open to partner up with them, run a proper novel research on these breakthrough technologies and validate them to bring them to the people and to the masses.
Thank you. That's awesome.
So we always ask a previous guest to leave a question for the next guest, and they never have an idea of who it's going to be. And so Jeff Stevens, the CEO of Psych Wellness, left a question for you. And he asked, what areas do you find inspiration, or where do you find inspiration when you hit a wall or a challenge that you don't have an answer for?
In what areas I find inspiration when I hit a challenge I don't have an answer for? How I do it? Does it answer the question? I personally try to always benchmark, have as a benchmark the super top performing people, right? So in case I hit a wall and I don't know how to do some things to take energy back and push again, it's just, okay, I don't know, Elon Musk build a private rocket company from scratch when everyone was telling him, okay, it's impossible, this complete madness and so on. So if he managed to go through all this crazy complex problem, why I cannot even solve this maybe simpler problem? And this kind of remotivates me, because okay, this should be nuts compared to these crazy complex things that have been achieved by a human being. So it's something easy I should be able to solve. And I personally find energy and motivation back again, if this kind of answered the question.
Nice. That's beautiful. I like that.
All your questions, I will re-reflect on them after the podcast because they're interesting, and I feel I feel I can use them for my personal meditation and reflection to find the deeper answer even. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. We'd love to hear that. It's almost like we have backgrounds in like psychotherapy or something. In relation to the next question is really a question for you. Like, what question do you want to leave for the next guest? So you get to leave one. Again, you don't know who they are, but they're a founder of a health and wellness technology company probably. So what do you want to leave for them?
I mean, the most basic and quick question that came into my mind is, how long do you want to live and why?
Oh, I like that.
Holy crap. That's a great one, dude. I love that. How long do you want to live and why? Well, we already got your answer, but I guess maybe not the why. Why do you want to live that long?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Or yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I love that. We've got so many podcasts this week, so we're going to get to ask that one quickly. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciate you taking some time. This was an awesome pod.
Oh, it's already.
Is there anything that you'd like to leave the people with, or any place you'd like to direct their attention?
Could you repeat the answer? I was looking at the time, the question, sorry. I was looking at the time. And just noticed it was over an hour and a half. That was fast. It passed fast. Could you repeat what you said?
Did.
Sorry, I missed you.
Oh yeah, no worries. So as we're wrapping up here, is there anything you'd like to leave people with, or any place you'd like to direct their attention?
Yeah. So I think can be interesting for people to go into the rabbit hole of longevity science and smartphone-based screening. Of course, I'm a bit biased, but just read the research about smartphone-based screening and how it is possible to detect biomarker just by using smartphone data, eye picture, face video, even tapping patterns on the phone, and then you will really understand in depth what does it mean, and that is actually possible. And maybe you will start using some of this technology for yourself and get your health data into your pocket. Even right
Oh
now.
yeah. I like that. Cool. And is there any place they can learn more information about youth?
Yeah, you can go onto our website. It's called Youth Health Tech. We're actually launching a complete new rebranding, so a new website will be live soon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool. We'll put the links. Oh, last thing, where can they find you? Is there any specific place that they could find more if they want to learn from you?
Of course. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I mainly use LinkedIn. So you can just type Filippo Nigro on LinkedIn and directly write me there. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. We'll put all this in the description of the episode as well. And we really appreciate you taking some time to hop on with us today.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to you.
Heck yeah.
Have a nice day.
All right. Thanks for coming in today. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the podcast already, no time like the present. But until next time, we'll see you. Peace.
Thanks.